It's Iowa, one of the best states in the nation for big bucks. I said, oh my God, there's a drop-tine whitetail. 30 years I've been hunting whitetails. I've never even seen a big drop in the woods. This is the deer I want to shoot. I just see this big rat coming over the hill. I said, oh my Lord, here comes another big shooter. A 160 and 170 class drop-tine buck in the same night of hunting.
Winchester Whitetail Revolution is brought to you by
Winchester Ammunition, the American legend. Otis Technologies, the most advanced gun care system in the world. Code Blue, perfecting the science of hunting. Winchester Rifles and Shotguns, the guns that work.
Degrees, warmed up a degree.
Iowa is famous among trophy hunters, and for good reason. Today, host Mike Hanback is hunting the Midwestern part of the state in hopes of placing his tag on an Iowa bruiser.
You think of Iowa and you think, flat, boom, cornfields, all that. But when you get out here and you come into Omaha and then you drive out to those hills, I mean, there's basically little mountains out here, little ridges. You got valleys and you got little farmettes in here.
Well, the way Iowa sets up their hunting season, you predominantly hunt archery during the month of November, when the peak of the rut is. And then December is when the gun seasons are, so these big bucks have an opportunity to go through the rut. Then they're not as vulnerable, you might say, or not in that position like a lot of other Midwestern states where they actually hunt the deer during the peak of the rut in a gun season. Iowa's a little bit unique that way.
I tell you, I have hunted whitetails all across North America for 30 years. But I'd never even shot a slug gun or killed a deer with a slug gun. So when I drew a tag for Iowa this year, I said, man, this is my opportunity. I've never done it, I've always wanted to. I'm gonna see what this baby does. Come in here and test fire a couple of shots here. Drew a tag, got fortunate there, came out with Judd and got this gun. This baby sighted in at home, but after the flight, I'm gonna make sure it's still on. I hope it is. So I got out here and sighted it back in, and man, it was shooting dead on again. And I was ready to go. Dead center, still shooting on, so no excuses.
Well, Iowa has recently replaced Minnesota as the top producer of record book whitetails per capita. With the number of hunters here, Iowa produces more Boone and Crockett animals and Pope and Young animals every year than any other state. The whitetails have got the genetics here. They've also got pretty much an unlimited food supply and rich food supply in corn and beans and the native vegetation, not just the crops.
Judd and I go way back, and he's just an icon in the outdoor industry. He's done it all.
Mike and I have been writers for a long time. I think I've edged him quite a bit by that, but actually Mike was the editor of American Hunter magazine for the NRA and hired me as the bow hunting editor.
And Judd was, a big famous outdoor writer and photographer especially.
I see Mike a couple times a year, and we've got a real good rapport, and we just haven't hunted near enough.
And we developed a relationship all those years, but never had the opportunity to hunt together. So when I drew a tag in Iowa and had the opportunity to come hunt at Judd's place, that was a very special thing for me, and I was really looking forward to it. Now look at this big drop through the hills.
Yeah, this is it's pretty neat. These walls are made of the lusts
That's what we're in, the Luss Hills, and it's a glacial sediment, kind of windblown. It's pretty amazing, yeah.
No rocks in that, just built up silt soil.
Yeah, like some places 200 feet thick, they say.
Really?
Well, the Luss Hills run the western edge of Iowa, and it's a wind-blown silts off the continental glaciers. It's like sand dunes in a way. It's rolling and valleys and nooks, and you've got hardwoods on the ridges, and they crop the bottoms with cropland. You can't find a rock in this stuff.
That's really amazing.
We certainly don't want to come down here in the rain.
Mike, this is the big cedar bedding area you were talking about?
Yeah, these cedars on the hillsides, they make great cover. It gets cold and chilly and the wind's blowing, and they just tuck in there. And it's real close to the food source, so they just pop out of their bedding areas and jump right into food. And I think that might be a place you want to try.
We'll definitely have a little setup in here. We've got cover, food, frozen water.
Yep.
Looks awesome.
We've been seeing some big deer in here. Mike, when he was hunting, we adjusted him into a natural blind situation, which would be, hey, we saw a big buck there this morning. Can we slip you in there? We think he's going to come back out tonight.
Oh, we're going to sit all day and just see what happens, see what the deer movement are going on, get acclimated to the country.
The best advice that I would give to a hunter, be good with your weapon. Other than that, take the cushion off your chair at work and sit on a steel plate and get in condition to sit there for 10, 12 hours at a time.
I just see this big rat coming over the hill. So this is the deer I want to shoot.
Let's get to this week's Whitetail Insider, your source for the latest in the ever-changing world of whitetail hunting. If you like the look of those huge non-typical bucks, then you might want to put in for an Iowa tag this year.
It was warm and misty in Iowa, not like today. Mark Drury set up between cover and a cornfield on his farm. He hoped to catch a good buck heading back to bed for the day, or maybe cruising for does late in the morning. A 14-pointer popped out of the woods with a group of does. He walked to within 20 yards of Mark's stand and ripped a rub as big as your thigh. Mark fired an arrow and drilled the buck. The 5.5-year-old Titan hit 10 points with stickers and a very cool third main beam on the right side. The rack scored more than 170. This buck is a great example of something biologist Grant Woods told me one time. In areas with lots of protein food, many bucks put stickers and other junk on their antlers when they reach 4, 5, and 6 years old. That's why you see so many more giant non-typicals than typicals coming out of top farm states like Iowa today. From the Big Buck Zone, I'm Mike Hanback. You know, this is just another great example of what you see on my Big Buck Zone blog. Just good, down-to-earth, hardcore deer hunting.
The slug gun season continues for Mike Hanback in Iowa. Iowa produces more trophy deer per capita than any other state. In absolute numbers, out of the top 50 record book typical deer, as many have come from Iowa as from Saskatchewan, and more than from anywhere else.
Without question, this hunt in Iowa is probably one of the coldest hunts I've been on in the last 10 years. First morning I got up, it was 4 degrees, and we had at least 10 to 15 below wind chill. I mean, just so cold it hurt you. It really did to go out.
Cold, 4 degrees, wind chill, 10 below.
But I'll tell you, it's one of the coldest times I've ever been out there. The whole country's frozen. Some big old buck tracks in here. It looks like an old beaver slide, and the deer have really been using it. They're coming around this water. You can't cross it. It's about that deep, thick with ice, so they're coming around it, but they're really using that. It's frozen solid, just like everything else in this country. It's been 4 degrees, and looks like you're going that way, and I'm gonna skirt around here and get up through here. All the deer trails and the deer runs are frozen. So again, it kind of came back to focusing on that food source and looking for those bucks and does moving there, because that's where they're gonna be. There's a few beans left.
Yeah, you know, these deer we've been, as with glass, and we're seeing them out here using this stuff, and it's getting cold enough now that they're really going for the protein and the beans and the corn. And
they're gonna hit those beans.
yeah, and it doesn't look like there's much out here, but you know, you look around and there's a little pod here and a little pod there, and you find some. And
there's some old corn in here too.
Yeah, well, the farmers rotate every year. They go back and forth between corn and beans. And when you got a cornfield, they're out here picking up the corn stalks. When it's beans, they're out here picking up the missed beans. And
Two prime late season food sources.
absolutely. Like
Really
big deer.
is. Yep.
You know, I experiment every year with different types of food plots. Like this year, for instance, we plant corn because corn is a good cold weather. It's a main staple of cold weather. They need the carbohydrates, and we don't hunt the food plots. I mean, that's not our staple. We try to kill the deer as they come and go. You know, the deer that are spooked off the neighbor's land or public land or whatever come in and stay in our area because they've got protection and they've got food.
Cooney's advanced land management system benefits not only the white-tailed deer, but provides much-needed feed and cover for other species, including waterfowl and wild turkeys.
We used to drive through Ottawa a dozen times a year going to southern Iowa, but at that time there was no deer or turkeys in this part of the country, and ended up leasing some land and, you know, getting involved in hunting operation back here. Been doing it ever since.
The uniqueness and the successfulness that comes with Judd's operation is, number one, the preparation that goes into the season. Judd puts a lot of time into his food plots. That sort of thing has created a lot of success for Judd. The other is just the in-season work we do. Lots of glassing, lots of staying on top of where the deer movements are.
You know, ground hunting for big bucks has been doing it now for 2 years, you know, pretty hot and heavy. And it's tough, you know, you can get in there and move in, but you don't have that element of getting your scent off the ground like you do in a tree stand, and you don't have near the visibility you do when you're way up high. So the whole key is to be able to slip in and have access. Get in a spot where you can see out there maybe to 100, 120 yards, you know, and have good visibility and a 180-degree arc out in front of you. Put good background cover behind you, and that way you're going to be right in there with the deer, and it just makes for a really awesome hunt. When we got out here, we had a full moon to sort of complicate things. And the way the hunt was starting to play out, we knew it was a food source deal and a lot of good action in the afternoon. With that full moon, it really made the deer sort of move more harder in the afternoon and not as much in the morning. To me, the key was finding soybeans and focusing in there and trying to make that happen for you, because the deer are really worn out after the rut, so they're going to be hitting those food sources. A lot of hunting out here at Judd's is from tree stands, but of course on Revolution we're working on the ground trying to get up close and personal with these deer, so we're ground hunting. The setup that I found that we hunted that afternoon was perfect. We were able to be dropped off, pop over the ridge real quiet, slip in, you know, set up where we had good background cover and made the whole ground setup possible in an awesome spot. I was looking, some does that came out way back up in the corner, and I saw this big rat coming out. The first thing I saw was a drop tine. And I said, oh my God, there's a drop tine whitetail. I'm obsessed with the drop tine whitetail. I've never shot one in all my years of hunting. And when I saw that, I really got pumped.
That's that big drop tine.
And I said, this is the deer I want to shoot. I had my eye on the big drop tine. I just see this big rat coming over the hill. And I said, oh my Lord, here comes another big shooter.
Winchester Whitetail Revolution is brought to you by
Winchester Ammunition, the American legend. Otis Technologies, the most advanced gun care system in the world. Code Blue, perfecting the science of hunting. Winchester Rifles and Shotguns, the guns that work.
Legal shooting hours are put in place to avoid hunting accidents and protect deer populations. But when deer only move after hours, should hunters get a break? Let's see what hosts Mark Kaiser and Mike Hanback have to say.
I ran into two, not one, two different instances where I was hunting in states and other areas, i.e. tribal lands, where we had to quit at sunset. What's up with that?
You know, they are what they are. They're put into place so people aren't out there taking pot shots and
shooting at things they can't see really well.
And that's right when those mature bucks are beginning to move. And one of those hunts was in a late season hunt, and I know darn well that those big bucks had no notion of moving until the last 4 or 5 minutes shooting light in a real setting, which would have been a half hour after.
For him to rant and rave about it because he couldn't get an opportunity at a monster buck he claims is silly. I mean, these laws are there for safety. When you go to a state, that's what you get.
The reason they're doing it in a lot of instances is because of safety. They think that you and I are not smart enough, I guess, to know the difference between a deer and a hunter out there.
Big deer move at night. Does that mean if you're not going to be able to hunt him at 7:30 in the last half hour that you're going to go out there at 11 or 12? Of course not. You wouldn't condone night hunting, right? So don't condone hunting 15 minutes. Don't cry about not being able to hunt that 15 minutes because you saw a big deer. Another issue I'll take with Mark on this is the more I hunt across North America in big bucks, the fewer big monster bucks I actually see during that last 30 minutes, 15 minutes.
Anyone with a good optic, be it a binocular or a spotting scope, can tell the difference between a buck and someone with some blaze orange on it. If you can't, then you deserve every penalty ever thrown in the books.
If he lost the opportunity at big buck, I'm sorry about that, but really he's making way too much of an issue out of this than it is.
Let's stop this nonsense and let us hunt the last half hour of daylight, the half hour from sunset to dusk, because that's when most of those big bucks are moving.
Log on to versus.com to tell us where you stand on the debate.
You know, set up where we had good background cover and an awesome spot. I said, oh my God, there's a drop-tine whitetail. I was solely focused on that animal right there. You know, I'm gonna do what I can do to shoot that deer. Something caught my attention to the right, and I had my eye on the big drop-tine. I looked to the right, and I just see this big rat coming over the hill. And I said, oh my Lord, here comes another big shooter. Up and ready and just had to make a little move. And when you're hunting big whitetails, if you've got one out there at 80 yards and one out there at 150, if you're smart, I did what I thought was the right thing and focused on that deer, and obviously it was a beautiful 100 and almost 160 class buck.
This was a big buck.
It was a beautiful 100 and almost 160 class buck, big whitetail, awesome deer anywhere in North America, but to just see two whitetails of that caliber on the same type of hunt just made it really unbelievable.
I say, Big Mike.
That's all right.
What do you think, buddy? Incredible hunt. 2 Iowa monsters on one night. I saw the big drop tine. You were telling me about?
Yeah.
I saw him big time. He came out the corner. He was coming in. I said, that's my buck. That's the one I want to shoot. I'm obsessed with a big drop tine buck. Never shot one. 30 years. Never shot one. I see him coming. And then all the deer spooked out for a while. And they jumped back, and I said, what in the world? They were all looking back across. And I said, I wonder if another buck coming. And I looked to the right, and here comes this big rack bobbing about 80 yards away. And I said, man, there he was. So I kind of just spun around and got on him, and I said, drop tine's gonna have to live another year because it's an awesome buck right here. One thing about this area is genetic. Brow tine is really cool. You know, I've seen a lot of bucks you guys got in the lodge. Yeah. And also that's kind of a big blade brow, but just a nice old mature buck.
This is awesome.
Well, you put me on him, buddy, and I appreciate it. Did a great job. He is. Oh, it's unbelievable.
Great shot too, obviously. Put him down.
Oh, incredible. Cold and full moon, just everything about deer hunting that came together, you know, the conditions and everything, just awesome. So, whoo, what a buck.
Well, Mike, we better get this thing out of here. Let's go see Judd.
Let's go see Judd.
That's right. Sure, Judd. Let's get this on.
Heavy, too. They are.
Shooter. It's Iowa, one of the best states in the nation for big bucks, so it's not really surprising that happened.
I'm gonna shoot him.
During this Iowa shotgun season, you use either a slug gun or a muzzleloader, so you may limit your range a little bit, but I'll tell you, that slug will really put a deer down and put a hurting on him. My experience, I'm coming back with a slug gun. Just really a whitetail paradise, and Judd's deer are just, you know, they're big and getting bigger with his management plan and everything, so just a incredible operation. If I could draw a tag every year, I'd be out here, I can bet you that.
It's been a blast hunting with Mike. The knowledge that Mike has on whitetails and his sportsmanship, his hunter ethics, I've really enjoyed hunting with Mike. It's been a great time.
Yeah, that's a nice buck, boy. That's a beauty.